Hello, my name is Professor Chan Ngai Wing. I'm the president of Water Watch Penang. This is an environmental NGO, a non-governmental organization, and our aim is to promote study, awareness, knowledge, conservation, protection, and the practice of a water-saving society towards the sustainable development of water resources in Malaysia. Now, we were set up in 1997, and our activities include awareness and education, publications of books and pamphlets, and all other materials pertaining to the conservation of water. We also organize seminars and forums. We do research and consultancy for both the government as well as with the private sector. We also do EIA panel, sit on panels conducted by the government. We also act as watchdog for the government in terms of monitoring the water, and we do networking with other NGOs. For example, we are in constant partnership and collaboration with many government departments, and one of our main collaborators is the Perbadanan Bekalan Air Pulau Pinang, or in short PBA. We have many programs with the PBA. We act as their environmental consultant. We also do education and awareness going into the schools for their schools program. We publish pamphlets and books with them. The other organization that we work closely with is the Ford Foundation. In fact, this VCD that we are producing is partly funded by both the PBA as well as the Ford Foundation. The other NGO that we work with is the Global Environmental Center, which we also have a program to do a study on the lakes as well as the rivers in the Kelana Jaya area as well as in Penang. Our final aim actually is to change people's mindset from a water wasting society into a water saving society via education and awareness, via consulting with each other, and also to help people understand the preciousness and the importance of water and make them save water so that we will not be wasting our water. We want to make sure that every drop of water counts towards the realization of a water-saving society.
In the world today, you can find many challenges that people do. For example, bungee jumping, skydiving, motor racing, scuba diving, and even conquering Mount Everest. But none of this is as challenging as the water test. Let me challenge you to take this test tomorrow morning. As soon as you wake up, time yourself and see how long you can carry on life without water. Remember, you must not drink water, use water to brush your teeth, flush the toilet, or even take a shower. I am sure you will not last more than a few minutes. This simple challenge proves to us just how important water is to our life, yet we pay so little attention to conserve water. Water, a substance in its pure form that is essential to all forms of life and is known as the most universal solvent. It is tasteless, odorless, and nearly colorless. Chemically, water is compound of hydrogen and oxygen. Its molecule consists of 2 atoms of hydrogen and 1 atom of oxygen. Earth is the only blue planet in the solar system that harbors life. Looking down from above space, we can see 70% of Earth's surface is filled with water. Whether it is raining or not, it appears as we are blessed with endless supplies of fresh water. But that appears as an illusion. A lot of the water we see, in fact, most of the water on Earth is salt water. 69% of the fresh water on Earth appears to be frozen as ice caps and glaciers. The other 30% is found as fresh groundwater. That leaves 1% to an important task: to give life to all plants, all the animals, and all the people that live on Earth. So, the fresh sparkling water that we take for granted is actually scarce and valuable. It is so valuable, in fact, nature constantly recycles water. When the sun warms the Earth, water evaporates and rises into the atmosphere as water vapor. When water vapor in warm air currents meets cooler air, water vapor condenses into water drops that fall from the sky as rain. This is an ongoing cycle that cleans and redistributes the Earth's water resources. The Earth's water volume has remained constant since it attained this volume some 2 billion years ago through this cycle. The same water that was on Earth during prehistoric times is the same water we use today. In today's human society, water is being used for agriculture, food processing, recreation, transportation, and to generate power. This makes water to be very important. Almost everything on Earth is either made of water or made by water. Animals, plants, and other life forms contain water. Land, rocks, and soils are shaped from running water. The bricks and cement that are used to build houses are made with products produced from water. 2/3 of the human body is made up of water. To function properly, the body requires between 1 and 7 liters of water per day to avoid dehydration. Although a person can live without food for a month, a person can only live without water for 5 to 7 days. Thus, saying all this, water is life. Do you know there are various water problems in the world today? Some countries in the world is very dry, but others have plenty of water. This is because water is distributed unequally over space and time. Some countries are rich in water resources, but some are poor. 1/2 of the world's rivers is seriously polluted and depleting. This degrades and poisons the surrounding ecosystems, thus threatening the health and livelihood of people who depend on them. In Malaysia, 97% of our drinking water comes from rivers. However, not all our rivers are clean. In fact, the majority of our rivers are polluted. Hence, transforming the muddy river water into clean drinking water requires 3 processes. Flocculation. The first thing we do is remove solid particles in the water, mostly silt mixed in during the water's long journey from the mountains to one of our water treatment plants. The solids are removed in a large tank called a clarifier. At the water treatment plant, the 4 huge clarifiers are the largest feature at the plant. Special chemicals such as aluminum sulfate are added to the water that enters the clarifiers. These chemicals, called coagulants, cause the solid particles to clump together. This process is called flocculation. Eventually, the solid clumps, which are far heavier than the water, sinks to the bottom, and the remaining water becomes clearer as much of the solids are removed. Filtration. Next, the water is filtered to remove microscopic particles. Many treatment plants have 6 or more large filters, each capable of filtering millions of liters of water per day. Each filtration tank is about the size of a medium-sized swimming pool. At the bottom of each pool are layers of coarse sand, fine sand, and anthracite gold. As the water seeps down the layers of sand and coal, tiny particles as small as 1 micron are left behind. After filtration, the water looks even cleaner and purer, but it is not ready for consumption yet. Disinfection. Before it is piped to consumers, the filtered water goes through one last process, disinfection. All the water treatment plants use chloramine to kill any bacteria or viruses that remain in the water after filtration. Chloramine is a combined chlorine and ammonia compound used to disinfect potable water. The science of water treatment has progressed so far that detection and control of contaminants in water have reduced health hazards to nearly zero. After the water is treated, it is pumped from the treatment plant into large pipes called mains, that is, passed through pipelines to all consumers, domestic and industrial.
One of the most serious problems with water in this world is water pollution. Let me tell you why. 50% of the rivers in the world are polluted. And this is not just happening in other countries. In our own country, Malaysia, a lot of our rivers are polluted. Some to the extent that we cannot treat the water for drinking purposes anymore. We can still treat them through high-tech solutions, but they would be too expensive. For example, in the Sungai Penang itself, the water is so polluted to the extent that we cannot treat it. Some people has even gone far enough to say that if you throw a frog into the Sungai Penang, it will not survive. and Sungai Penang is only one of the rivers. The others could be the Sungai Klang, Sungai Juru, or even Sungai Kedah. Now, what are the sources of pollution? The main source of pollution is actually from the garbage that we dump into the river. Of course, factories also discharge into the rivers from agriculture and so on and so forth. But you and I can help in the area of dumping garbage. The solution to stop water pollution in our rivers is, first of all, we must stop our dirty habit of throwing garbage into the river. You and I today can just stop that. And also, we need to teach others not to throw garbage into our rivers. Another serious water problem is water wastage. Now, we in Malaysia simply use too much water. The average Malaysian will use between 300 to 400 liters of water per person per day. Now, this in comparison to other parts of the world is simply too high. For example, in India, the average person would use only about 100 liters of water per day. In Africa, the average person uses only 50 liters of water per person per day. Now, as population increases, there will come a time when the rivers that we have will not be able to supply all the water that we need. So, if we do not use the water wisely and carefully and protect our rivers, then there will come a time when we are forced to use recycled water. Now, what is recycled water? Recycled water is simply water that is channeled from drains and from the toilet back into our reservoir to be retreated for reuse. Think about that. Do you want to use recycled water? In the 15th, 16th and 17th century, countries and people were fighting over gold. In the 17th, 18th and 19th century, they were fighting over black gold, which is oil. They still fight over black gold today. But in the 21st century, this century, a lot of people have predicted that countries and people will fight over blue gold, which is water. Let me explain to you why. In fact, as we speak, there are a lot of countries already in dispute over water. For instance, in the Mekong River Delta, Mekong River Basin, a lot of countries which are sharing the Mekong River Basin are already arguing about who should use how much of the water. In another example, in the Middle East, people are also fighting over water. And in Africa, in the Nile River Delta and Nile River Basin, many countries are trying to build dams and they are also fighting over the water. Which means if we do not control and manage our water resources well, in this 21st century, there may be a water war, a war over water.
Here are some simple water saving tips you can follow. Switch off shower when soaping and shampooing. Use a cup of water for brushing your teeth. Never let the tap run while you're brushing. Use a wet towel instead of a running tap when washing face. Short hair definitely requires less water to wash and clean. In the toilet, put a brick into the cistern to halve the water flush. When washing car, use a bucket and a cloth, never use a hose. Water used for washing hands, vegetables, and rinsing dishes can be used again for watering plants or for flushing the toilet. When it is raining, collect rainwater and use it for washing the car, the floor, or for watering plants. People living in the houses with more than one story can ask the plumber to do a minor connection to collect used water from showering and washing hands to be reused for watering plants or washing the car or floors. Reduce going out, especially during the day when it is hot. You will need to drink less water, wash less clothes and take fewer showers. Never use the garden hose when watering plant, use a water bucket instead. When cleaning floors, use a mop instead of a hose. When washing dishes, switch off the tap while soaping pots and pans. Try to wear clothes twice before they are washed. Before washing clothes, wait for a full load is accumulated. Use only one t-shirt when playing sports. For those living near rivers, use river water to do washing if possible. If spring water is available, use it for washing. Well water can be used for general washing. Report leakage, damage, and water theft immediately. Never switch on the tap at full blast for any use.
Is water very important now?
Yeah, very important.
It's not so easy to get water.
Yeah.
How about you? What's your name?
I find Ahmad Farhan.
Ahmad Farhan.
I find this what we call it? This tour is very interesting because we can get knowledge from learning the water, right? Preserving the water and recycling whatever.
Okay, apakah pandangan dengan aktiviti hari ini?
Boleh menambahkan ilmu pengetahuan kita kan.
Yeah.
Lepas tu kita boleh pelajari macam mana nak air datang dari mana. Dan proses membuat air memang letih lah.
Meneliti ya.
Tapi seronok.
Seronok, bagus ha. We hope you have enjoyed watching this video. More importantly, we hope that you have learned something useful from it. We do encourage you to practice what you have learned from this video, especially when you are using water. We also expect you to go home and teach others who have not had the opportunity to watch this video what you have learned. We want you to help us make Penang and Malaysia a water-saving society. Make every drop count.